What gets lost when power rushes to justify itself is the ordinary truth of a life. A mother doesn't live inside abstraction. She lives inside crumbs and corners. The inside of Renee Nicole Good's car doesn't look like a weapon. There's evidence, but it's evidence of love stretched thin across busy days, stuffed animals shoved into glove boxes because there's nowhere else to put them. Snack wrappers on the floor from backseat negotiations about still being hungry and asking to stop after school. Crumbs pressed deep into seat crevices from granola bars, broken in half with one hand while steering with the other. Mismatched water bottles rolling under the seats, forgotten library books and receipts and reminder notes she meant to read. And that kind of chaos isn't that of a menace, it's parenthood. It's the quiet archaeology of a life spent showing up over and over again. When no one's applauding, it's the smell of sunscreen and stale coffee, the echo of arguments that end in laughter, and the residue of carpools and drop-offs, and apologies for being late again. And that's not what violence looks like, and yet the federal government chose a word that erases every bit of that. They chose terrorist. And terrorist is a word meant to flatten humanity. It strips away the context and intention and interior life. It allows a listener to stop imagining the person as a person. And once the word is spoken, the crumbs disappear, the stuffed animals vanish, the children become inconvenient footnotes. But she was a mother, not a threat. And when you watch the video and really watch it, what you see is not intent. What you see is confusion. Armed men crowding a vehicle, commands shouted from different directions, hands at windows, bodies positioned where no one should ever stand if they truly fear a moving car, seconds collapsing into chaos, a vehicle barely moving with hesitation, uncertainty, and panic, and then gunfire. There's no clear moment of attack, no unmistakable act of aggression, no frame that shows deliberate violence. What it shows instead is something that's far more common and far more human. A person trying to understand what is being demanded of them while surrounded by authority that's moving too fast and thinking too little, if at all. A mother trying to move through her neighborhood. A mom who knew that when armed men surround your car and shout over one another, fear is not aggression. It's instinct. A mom whose first reflex wasn't domination but survival. Protection. Mothers protect in ways that don't make headlines, though. They protect by staying awake, by worrying quietly, by keeping the world held together with routines and snacks and soft things that are tucked where children might need them later. By refusing to harden, even when the world keeps asking them to. And that is where something much darker enters the frame of this story, because there are people who saw this and didn't ask a single question. People who didn't pause at the crumbs, didn't notice the stuffed animals, didn't wonder about the children who would never again sit in that back seat. They heard the government speak first, and that was enough. Big Brother said self-defense, so they repeated it. They said terrorist and nodded along. No curiosity or skepticism, no humanity. Just obedience dressed up. It's the deepest obscenity here, not just that Renee Nicole Good was killed, but that the machinery of the state looked at the wreckage of a mother's life and called it terror. And so many people accepted the story without ever looking inside the car. There's nothing radical about crumbs or extremist about stuffed animals, nothing violent about a vehicle that was built to carry children. What is radical and dangerous is a government so desperate to control the story that it must erase the humanity before the facts are even known. Because if we remember who she is, if we picture the nostalgic chaos of parenthood still sitting there when the engine went quiet, then the lie collapses. And what remains is not a terrorist, it's a mother. And 3 children who will grow up knowing exactly how fragile life can be, especially when power forgets how to see them.